So your question, if I'm not mistaken, is like, how do you handle the shame? Is that, yeah. So what I'm going to say is like, not always what we want to hear, right? Because I know when I was dealing with shame, I was like, can you just tell me how to get rid of it? Like, just tell me. Um, and then I learned that that shame. The reason it's there is because we were hurt. And those are our hurt pieces that nobody ever showed up for.
Mm.
And so for us to work through shame as our adult self, we want to give those younger pieces the space and the safe place to feel it with unconditional love and acceptance.
I was going to ask for an example. It's hard for my brain to
Yeah,
understand that.
excellent. Okay. So maybe I'll give an example when I was working through the this part of the journey where shame was like the last piece. Like you get all the you're learning all this stuff, but then there's still this shame. Um, Pieces of the past and memories would come up, like because as we're learning to track the charge, we get information, and that information can be really painful, and then we feel that shame, right? I literally had to feel that shame, and when we allow ourselves to feel unprocessed shame, it is a cry like no other cry that you know. You are crying from this deep place. You guys know what I'm talking about, right? You know that this is not what just happened in the present. There's something more here. That's how deep of a cry it is. I had to be like, I had to keep one foot in that shame so I could feel it, and one foot in my adult self. Like, I see you, you poor thing. I'd be talking to that shame. You've been carrying this all alone for so long. I am so sorry. Let me feel it with you. Let me carry that for you. And the cry, and it came up, and then it's processed because that piece is getting what it needs. The more you do that with your shame, the more the shame, it's not that it goes away. It's like hunger. Does my hunger go away? Well, when it's satisfied, I don't feel it.
Mm.
So when we're feeling shame, we're feeling an emotional hunger for support, for love. How does that land in like really noticing how that lands in your body for a moment and everyone else too? Does that make sense? So the shame is an opportunity. The shame that comes up is an opportunity for the amazing person you are today to hold space, to have compassion, to have unconditional love, to reparent that piece of you that deserved it in the past and didn't get it. When we can be like that with our shame, it is amazing how things begin to shift.
How do I find out what that piece is? Like, I'm understanding what you're saying, and yet I still can't figure out like what does this shame point to of the piece of me?
So that's where tracking the charge is helpful. So we can't work with our emotions just on the level of sensation. So, like, the first step is to build our capacity to be with shame. There was a time I had no capacity to be with shame. Shame
Mhm.
would come on, I would be checked out. I would be in
Yeah.
either fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, mostly
Mhm.
freeze or fawn.
Mhm.
I had to build the capacity to be with shame, which means I could let it come up, feel that discomfort, and still feel like I was my adult self. So that's the first step. When we're able to do that, when we sit with it, it starts coming.